Hey adventurers, so today's going to be another book review. This is going to be for Strange the Dreamer by Laini Tayler. This is high fantasy, whimsy. I'm not entirely sure what all keywords or subgenres I would use to describe this book. But anyways, let's continue. So Strange the Dreamer by Laini Tayler is book one in the duology of the same name, so the Strange the Dreamer duology. This is a bit more on the YA side of things, and is a bit heavier on the romance aspects than I'm used to or than I enjoy too much, but it's about a young man who remembers a city that has been erased from memory, and then the subsequent rediscovery of that city. And there's more to things that go on with that, but that's the basic setup premise of the story. And yeah, that's a good, intriguing setup for me, at least as a reader. Before I continue on, though, I just quickly like to say welcome to an Erudite adventure. I'm T. If you're liking what you're seeing from us, please like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, so let's continue here. The setup of this story is actually rather interesting and intriguing, at least to me it was. I like the idea of searching for answers to a forgotten mystery. Lost civilizations have always been a favorite trope of mine. I can look at Atlantis, I can look at Road to El Dorado, I can look at Strange the Dreamer, just many of these stories. That I think that's part of why the Atlantis myth is so fascinating to me, is because it's a lost city trope. But anyways, that's beside the point. I can look at these various stories and I just am very, very much drawn to these types of stories. And that especially drew me to this story, especially when part of that importance is that the city was, the lost city was home to gods, essentially. And also we are traveling back to that city with the God Slayer. That's some interesting stuff going on with that is automatically intriguing, because it automatically implies not only is this all real, but the myths that we have of this are not myths. This world is very well realized, and the writing such that we can completely envision what we are seeing, which is very useful, especially for me. I do visualize what I'm reading most of the time anyways, and so it just, the more detail that's added, the more and better I am able to picture what it is that I'm seeing. Which then becomes a little bit creepy when the more supernatural aspects start to come into the story. There's some, I mean, we have ghosts, we have nightmares, we have just some very interesting, weird, creepy aspects of the story. It is a very atmospheric read, which is also something that I tend to enjoy. As is commonly the case, not all is as it seems. What we think we know ends up varying quite a bit from the truth, even down to who the characters are and the magic that we see, what all that means, how it all works. There's a lot of questions, a lot of mysteries that we don't have answered, and that or that we are having answered throughout the story. And the more you learn, the more mysteries that are discovered and answered, the more questions you have. At the heart of this story is the relationship between some of our main characters. Unfortunately, this is what brought my enjoyment down of this book. I don't have a problem with stories including a romance element, but I don't like when that's taken too far or becomes too graphic, especially for a book marketed as YA. This definitely isn't the worst one out there by any means, but it definitely had more than I was wanting to see or to read. I know that's a personal thing, but just letting you know and be aware that that's why my enjoyment of this book was taken down as much as it was. So overall, though, while I largely enjoyed the book, the story, the world, and the magic, there was more adult content than I wanted, and that does bring both my enjoyment and my rating of the book down. That being said, I do actually plan to finish the duology at some point. The second book, Muse of Nightmares, it's a duology, so it's an easy, low commitment. It's a low commitment series, and that's really helpful. Plus, I did actually enjoy the first book, quite a bit. I just have my own few problems with it. That's largely due to the romance element of the book, and I am willing to continue on with the series because I enjoyed a lot of what was going on even beside that. Yeah, so that is my thoughts and review for Strange the Dreamer by Laini Tayler. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and have our social medias linked in the description down below. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.